There's a stepdad problem in the world today, and it may not be what you think. Recently, my oldest daughter and I had a conversation, and she told me that I inspired her love of words. So she has a 7-year old now, and he's very advanced in the words that he uses. People think he's older than he is because he has an incredible vocabulary. And I was talking to her about that, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's because of you." And I said, "How's that because of me?" And she said, "Well, because you made me love words when I was young. We talked about words and your love of words, and you inspired me to love them too. And because I love them, now he loves them, and so he has this incredible vocabulary." It's a small conversation, but for me, that was big and it was beautiful, and it hit me right there. The reason for that is because I'm a stepdad. And maybe it would have hit me the same if I wasn't a stepdad. I don't know. Probably would have, but it definitely resonated in a way that was special to me. Because as a stepdad, and I know you're out there, we doubt a lot. Stepdads doubt a lot, and especially when our kids are young and we're wondering if we're getting it right. And, it seems like the tide's against us sometimes. It turns out that, you don't get these positive stories on the news about stepdads. You ever see a great headline about a stepdad? Stepdad shows up for his kid's game. Those aren't headlines that you get. What you get are these horrific headlines where, child is abused by stepdad, or stepdad arrested for fill in the blank of the horrific thing that happened. And this isn't about stepdads, of course. This is just the nature of media. Media is as it is. Sensationalism sells, and that's what happens. I've mentioned before I worked in the newsroom when I was in my 20s as an intern, and one of the first things I learned was this term: if it burns or bleeds, it leads, which means that the more sensational a story is, the more likely it is to be the story that we tease to get people to tune in for the 6 o'clock or 11 o'clock news. And coming up at six, you know, building burns, person gets shot, stabbing at wherever. Not because it's the most important news story or has any relevance to people's lives necessarily, but because it gets more eyes tuned in. And, ratings matter, and it's what you sell your ad revenue on. So, you know, stepdads get a bad rap, not because they deserve it, but because, it sells. It sells. Yes, some people are horrible stepdads who do horrible things, but that's not the news story. The news story is a horrible person did a horrible thing. The fact that they're a stepdad is secondary. It's like saying, man who's a mechanic beats his kid. Him being a mechanic doesn't have anything to do with him beating his kid, right? It's just this added layer of sensationalism. So I wanted to take a minute to call that out, to mention that, but also to just appreciate stepdads. To say, man, I see you. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. The Dalai Lama said kindness in action shapes a better future. Kindness in action shapes a better future. That's a lot of what stepdads are doing. There's kindness in action. If you think about it, a stepdad is a guy who steps up and he does something he's not required to do. He chooses to do it. He takes on a very difficult job without any additional pay. No additional pay. In fact, when a stepdad steps up and takes on this job of raising this child or these children who he didn't make, he's doing it out of love and out of care. In most cases, the most amazing guys, right? Really big-hearted humans are stepdads, and most of the time they're paying big time out of their pocket to raise these kids. Not only are they not getting paid, they're paying a price to do it, and they're good guys. And they're not doing it, for some pat on the back or some glory. They're doing it because they love, because they care. A little kindness in action, right? And, being a stepdad is more than kindness in action. Of course, it's also doing those hard things like saying no when you have to say no. Creating really good little people through your actions, through what you model for them as a parent. All the things that go into that, of course. And there's always that giant question mark in the back of your head. Am I making a difference? Every parent has this thought, stepdad or not, stepmom or not. Doesn't matter what your relationship to the child is. If you're a parent, you have these questions. Am I getting it right? Because we can only do as well as we can do at the moment with the information that we currently have and the knowledge and skills we have. And you always wonder if you're getting it right. But then at some moment further down the road, maybe way further down the road, maybe you've got a 7-year-old grandchild now, and your kid tells you, you made a difference. Man, parenting pays in small dividends over long periods of time. And if you get it right, you get a gem like that. That's just one of many. So, stepdads, I just wanted to say, I see you. I see you and I appreciate you. I see all the times you tie those shoes, where maybe you braid that hair, maybe you pick them up from school, drop them off from school, be the loudest voice cheering for them when they're doing whatever they're doing, their sports or their gymnastics or their singing or their dancing or whatever your kids are out there becoming. I see you and I appreciate you. And I love you guys for the work you do. I love you for the joy you put into it, the kindness you put into it. And if you're feeling a little worn down right now, if you're feeling like, man, this is rough, you got this. I know you do. Take a breath, get back in there, be the best parent you can be. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching my channel. If this meant something to you, share it with a friend. And if it touched you and this is just what you needed to hear today, bookmark it and come back and watch it when you need it. See you soon.